to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, beloveds. We really want to thank every single person that has subscribed. Thanks for liking. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for all the comments, beloveds. We appreciate, love you so much. You know, we come with this message of urgency, beloveds, that you really need to, in such a season and time as this, don't let people back in, because we're entering a season of panic, beloveds. Because, you know, there's a lot of us who have been crying wolf for so long. I won't even say crying wolf, who've been warning. We've been called conspiracy theorists, and then those who believed us have been called all manner of names. But now everything that was a conspiracy theory is now reality. It's actually happening. And there's like a line that's been drawn, beloveds, between those that have taken a certain decision and bowed to the New World Order and those who haven't. And it will become increasingly apparent. But beloveds, everyone is on edge. Everyone is, you know, people are a bit unstable. A lot of, well, they say mental issues are coming up, but I believe a lot of people are being revealed for who they really are. And so it is so critical, beloveds, that you stick to your decisions, because you see, as chosen ones, as people who have been, you know, who our spiritual team has been preparing us for next, there's so much cleansing we've had to do, even to just raise our vibration, so we could be above the collapse of the system. And that involved a lot of tears. It involved a lot of letting go. It involved a lot of seeing people for who they really were and accepting that, you know, you were never going to get the love that you wanted from that person. You were not going to have that brother-sister relationship that you've always craved with them. So you allowed them to get away with so much nonsense. You know, your husband was never going to stop being narcissistic. Your mother was never going to stop being wicked. Your father was never going to stop with the emotional abuse. So this, with his toxicity, like there's so many things, like there's so many decisions that you made. And you decided to shut the door on those people. But what happens is that as you raise your vibration, your compassion grows as well. And you know, sometimes you can feel a little sorry for those that you've left behind. But in the Kikuyu language, we have a very famous proverb that says, Murimo wago shokerera, niwe oragaga modo. And that basically means the disease of returning to a situation or a person you've left. I'm kind of, adding a few things. But the disease of return is what kills people, And basically what our elders meant by that was that the disease of returning to a person or a situation or a lifestyle that you said goodbye to totally and left is what will finish you in the end. A lot of us, beloveds, have walked away from from narcissistic relationships. And there's so much that's been done about narcissism, beloveds. Wicked, wicked people. It's the same as this system. The system we're currently living in is a narcissistic system. And it's people who just are filled with jealousy and envy and hate and competition. And your downfall is their joy. They want to see you suffering. They never want you to, you know, be above them. They're so in the 3D, beloveds. They're so in this material world, competing on this material world, that they will never allow you to even gain anything spiritually, because they don't. And a lot of these people have used a lot of magic and wickedness. And even just the wickedness of their own hearts and their own thoughts and minds to shatter their loved ones, to shatter their spouses, to shatter their family. And a lot of us who are here on assignment have been delayed by these characters, beloveds. You know it. Where, you know, it was always that person close to you who was always tripping you up. You go talk about this breakthrough, the breakthrough disappears. You go talk about this amazing relationship you've entered, the relationship disappears. It's who you were sharing it with. And there's this lady, I love her channel, it's called Fleur Brune or something like that. And she talks about handlers and how many of us chosen ones actually came in with handlers. Like they're spiritual beings that knew that we were coming because we're just that awesome. And they followed us in to make sure that they just want to totally destroy us. They want nothing good to come from us. But most of us in the last 2 years, let me know about your experience, have actually experienced some kind of spiritual rescue from these people. You were able to walk away from these narcissistic relationships, and now you've been rebuilding your life. The worst thing you can do for yourself right now is to let some of those toxic relationships back into your life, beloveds. And I say this as someone who recently did it, as someone who recently welcomed someone who had who had been exposed to me, and I knew they were the reason for so many of what I thought were failures, but actually now they're blessings in disguise, because I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be on destiny's path, and I definitely wouldn't be ready for what's coming. So everything works for our good, all things work together for our good. I'm serious about that. But when you've been shown who someone is, beloveds, and you let that person back into your life, they're not coming to love you no different. They're coming to destroy you. There are people who are so jealous and envious of where you are and where you're heading that they would do anything to crush you, beloveds. And you have to take that seriously. I think it's very important, because right now we're already on two different, it's like there's a big river separating us and them. Those who took the double Big Mac and those who chose to remain vegetarian, if you get my code. And you see, increasingly, as more and more realize that they made the wrong choice, they're going to be increasingly angry, envious at those who made the right choice. And we just have to be aware of that, beloveds. And so do not if you have let someone go, please, beloveds, the days of second chances are gone. We're in a new season now. We're in a new world. All those 3D contracts of this was my mother, this was my father, this was my brother, they don't exist anymore. Only keep those who make you feel good around you. I'm even shrubbing. It's important for us to have compassion for the ignorant, but don't let your compassion be the reason that you let someone, an assassin into your home, beloveds. Because if that person hated you then, trust me, they still despise you now. And that's something I didn't realize. I really thought this particular person had changed. But they came up into my house with obedient things, beloveds. Me! A high priestess. Anyway. Obedient things, beloveds, to finish me off. And in my heart, I was like, oh my God, let me just, help them out with this, help them out with that, give them some herbs, give them some black seed oil, like just, school them on some things and share my paradise. And they were coming to literally destroy my paradise, beloveds. You can't take that chance. Please don't. Please don't. If I hadn't had my spiritual defenses and some spiritual backup, I probably would not be doing this show anymore. I mean, it's that serious. People are it's that serious, beloveds. Someone who tried to finish you before is not going to celebrate you today. Rather, they're coming to finish off what they didn't manage to do. And it's just a reality we have to accept and stand strong. Stand firm. Keep busy. There's so many things to do. So many things to do to prepare to become self-sustainable. Because the whole Babylon system made us lazy. So they took, They took all our responsibilities away. So we didn't have to cook anymore because we could get takeaway, or we could go to restaurants. We didn't have to heal ourselves anymore because we could just go get pills over at the pharmacy. We didn't have to, teach our children anymore because we could just send them off to schools. Like everything was taken out of our hands. And we have so much to do to get back our control, to get back control over our lives and to stay ahead of the collapse of Babylon. Because I know a lot of reasons. The reason for me wasn't loneliness. It was more compassion and thinking that that person has changed. And you see, beloveds, a lot of us haven't been able to see the enemies in our midst because they've used spells and magic to kind of blind you to what they were doing. And some of them may have been the staunchest Christians, most admired in the community, but behind, they went to the obeah man on Saturday and the church on Sunday. So don't let them back in. And I'll give you some tips on some things I wish I had done before I did this. Like, beloveds, it was a major attack. But it was nipped in the bud. But it has reminded me, and I really felt the Spirit telling me, like, tell your family to stick to their decisions. Because it's not the far off Babylon system that's going to finish you. You've already overcome that with the plans you're making and the actions you're taking. It's those around you intimately that are going to try and finish you off. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? Really just praying that you are well. Please go ahead and like and share this video and make sure you subscribe. We appreciate, love each and every one of you from your comments. Love going through the comments and just seeing how many of us are actually awake, aware, and know exactly what's going on. It's so encouraging to know that, we are not alone in this great transition, because Babylon wants those that are not down with the agenda to feel as isolated and as alone as possible. And that's why a lot of people have taken the decisions they've taken, because of that isolation and that loneliness. But beloveds, you have to recognize now, like, the times for reconciliation and the times for coming back together are over. Many people already showed you their true colors and they don't have the strength to change. You already know that. I know, with my American accent or whatever. It's funny, when I'm talking to the elders in the village, the women, they're always laughing at my accent. But anyway, back on point. That disease of going back to a thing is what finishes many people in the end. Of going back to a situation you knew was toxic for yourself. And that was, it was still very much relevant in the system that has fallen. But in this time of transition, it's even more critical. Because the spirit of jealousy and envy is raging, beloveds. And you need to recognize how dangerous a weak soul or a weak spirit is. Someone who is weak-spirited, who has already bowed to the system, that shows you that they're weak-spirited, can change at any time. They can set you up at any time. And many of us who have heavy destinies on our shoulders, as I mentioned before, we came in with handlers. It's like spiritual enemies literally followed us into this physical realm and came into our families. They came as our mothers, our fathers, our brothers. They just made sure they were there. Some even as our spouses, to make sure that we were never, ever, ever gonna make it, gonna prosper, gonna have happiness, gonna have a happy relationship. All these things, beloveds. That has been their agenda from day one. And a lot of us, they had us in serious occult bondage, beloveds. Serious occult bondage. And this message may not be for everyone, but it is for a chosen few, beloveds. That's why the Spirit has even led me to share it. They had you in a spiritual bondage, in occultic chains. Worse than Babylon did to our ancestors, beloveds. Your own family, your own friends, your own spouse. And a lot of you, I know you've gone through, you've shared your stories, painful ones. Some of you are still battling out for your children. Some of you are still trying to even just get free from those monsters that you live with. And some of you, majority of us, beloveds, there's something that happened. We've been on this awakening journey for so long. Some will tell you 10 years, 15 years. I mean, the journey has always, I feel it has, for those who have awakened, it's been going on since birth, but there's a certain trigger moment that you really awakened. But as you reached a certain level, certain things that you couldn't have handled as, as a baby spirit, let's say that, were exposed to you. Certain people were exposed to you. Your greatest enemies were exposed to you. And that happened to many of us in 2019, 2020, especially with this global shutdown. People's real colors came out. But in the last year, people may have had a bit of compassion, etc., etc. But beloveds, because those people are going to come knocking. Your enemies of yesterday that you overcame, they have no shame. They are going to come knocking on your door. So prepare today to not answer. Prepare your children today to not answer. Prepare your heart to not crack and say, no, let me just help them out. Because you could be signing your death sentence. And if you're a mother or a father, you have responsibility for children. So you really shouldn't be doing it. Stay firm. Stick to your decisions. And don't let them back in. Let me know if this message resonated with you. Tuko pamoja.